So, hello and welcome. I am super excited for this conversation, and all the more so because I didn't let myself find out hardly anything about this lady before I jumped on this call. So, I am going to be finding out about her at the same time that you do, anyone that's watching this. I love, love, love how you show up on Facebook. I love your posts. I love the consistency of them. Pretty much every time I go on Facebook, I can find there's something you've said and it hits me, and there's a oh wow, yeah. So I would love you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, and let's just see where this goes.
Awesome. 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 Let's go. My name is Angela Mayora. I've been an entrepreneur now for 17 months. Prior to being an entrepreneur, done a lot of working for other people. So let's see, I was in the Air Force, retired law enforcement, real estate agent. I mean, I could go on for days. Most recently, for 9 years, I was a respiratory care practitioner at Rady Children's Hospital, San Diego, working in the emergency department. And
Wow.
I just wasn't no longer happy with my job. It wasn't the kids or the parents, it was the organization that I was unhappy with. And I knew immediately that I needed to make a shift. So I prayed, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning because I worked till 7 a.m. And I prayed and I heard life coach. And I was like, well, I've been coaching people my whole life, but never taking money for it.
Mhm.
So that was interesting to me. And I got curious about that. And I just sat with it. And then I heard, write down everything that you've been through. And so I did that, and the page filled up pretty quickly. So I knew it made sense. And I went home and I told my wife, I said, I'm not going back to the hospital. I'm going to be a life coach. I'm not going to go back to Rady Children's. And she looked at me without hesitation and she said, good, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Oh wow, you've got tingles. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. I just love the clarity in that. The whole it's so beautiful to hear about someone being so certain about following something like that. And that, I think that's the energy that I get from you, even in your post. It's like, yeah, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is it. And that is so attractive in so many. I can see in myself with my clients, when I show up, this is it, this is it, this is it, amazing things happen. When I show up, not so much. So tell us, just, I mean, a whistle stop tour. You said write down all of the things that you have been through. A whistle stop tour. What sort of things have you been through?
All right. So growing up, I was tortured by my mom. She was a San Diego police officer at home torturing her children. So I went through that. I got taken away from when I was 14 years old. From 14 to 18, I was in 16 foster homes and 6 high schools. I started drinking alcoholically when I was 16 years old. I drank for 16 years. Almost every single day I was drunk. Um, I've been sober for 14 years now, and
Mm.
there's no limits today. I
Wow.
spent a lot of years. I spent a lot of years in fear. You know what I mean? A lot of years in fear. And when I heard life coach, I'm gonna listen to spirit. Like, it's not. I'm not listening to my ego. I'm not listening to fear. I'm not listening to any of that negativity. So that's why it was easy for me to make that decision, because I'm not here to survive anymore. I'm here to live.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I mean, that really was a whistle stop tour. My mom tortured me. Yeah, then I did this, then I did this, then I did this. But there's a lot in there. There's a lot of life experience. There's a lot. My niece who lives, we house share. So there's me and my partner, and then my two nieces, and we run the business together and everything. And one of my nieces, she drank heavily for many years, and she's 4 years sober now. So I've had a front row, see. So I know that it's kind of like, oh yeah, I drank for 16 years or whatever it was, and then I'm sober. I know there's a lot in there. There's a lot that goes on, like you say, and we don't drink like that every day, from the clear mind that you're here in this beautiful space. As I said, I hear your certainty, your clarity, this beautiful following of spirit. You clearly weren't doing that when you were drinking. So tell us kind of yeah. Yeah, having had a front row seat and watching someone do that, I know that you don't do that from a space of listening to whatever word you put on it, spirit, the universe, God, whatever, you know, this voice, this power that we have within us. So tell us a little bit about what has changed for you. I mean, you are showing up here, you look incredible, you look polished, you look beautiful, you know, and again, you know, the certainty. I've liked you. I've loved your energy from afar, and now like being on this call with you, the minute that we spoke, it's like, yeah. So what is going on with you? What has brought you to this space? And you know, if you are going to be coaching someone or something, what have you got that's really useful? Because you clearly have, you are exuding that.
I'm passionate and relentless about my personal growth and development. And that has changed everything. I've become aware of Angela Mayora. For so many years, I was aware of everything outside of me, super aware. In law enforcement, when I was a correctional officer, I had to be extra aware when I was in prison, right? Like constantly in a hypervigilant state, watching what's going on around me, just on it. In every area of my life, just very aware, but it was always outside of me. But today I'm extremely aware and hypersensitive on what's going on inside of me, inside of my mind, inside of my body. And it's been amazing. I've shared this before that I didn't think that I was smart before. I thought I was dumb because my mom told me that I was dumb. And I believed her because kids tend to believe what their parents say. And so I picked a career in law enforcement because I knew I could make six figures and I knew that I didn't have to have a college education. And to be a respiratory therapist, I had to get my associate's degree. And so I'm like, well, I'm about to test this theory that mom put in my head. Like, am I dumb? So I went to school and I got really good at school, Deborah, really good at school. I got my associate's degree, my bachelor's degree, my master's degree. I started working on my PhD and got straight A's the entire time. And then it occurred to me one day, why don't I get a PhD in Angela Mayora? Like, why don't I start paying attention to me? And it's been life-changing, absolutely life-changing. And I think if more people did that, they'd be more conscious and more aware of what's going on with them. Throughout my sobriety for 14 years, you know, we have the 12 steps, and step 11 is sought through prayer and meditation to improve your conscious contact with God as you understand him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. And it wasn't until 4 years ago that I started really working that step and praying and meditating. And then once I did that, I was able to quiet the chatter in my mind. And so it's super easy for me. I'm meditating right now the whole time we've been on the call. Like, I'm in constant progress, not perfection, right? Meditation. And that allows me to when I'm listening to you, to listen beyond your words, to be present with you. And what does that mean? For me, that means in the now, minus Angela's thoughts. And that's been the biggest gift of this entire journey for me. I'll be level 46 next week, having a birthday. But the biggest journey is the ability to be, the biggest gift has been the ability to be present.
Mm.
Thank you for being present with me right now. I can feel it. People can, though, right?
Yeah.
We know when somebody's not listening to us. We know when we're pretending that we're listening, but we're thinking about what we're going to say next. It's incredible.
Mm. I love the level of trust that you have in God, spirit, the word you, that's what I can sense and feel in you. And that is so beautiful. It is so beautiful to be present to. Mm. Wow. It's so easy, isn't it, to think this is all on us. And yet, when we sink into that, I am aware of the 12-step program. I am aware of the, but I can't, so the step that you recited, I don't know how to recite what that step is, but what I heard in that is definitely the way that we have decided in very, very different, I would probably put it in slightly different words, but that's kind of what we decided to do with our business when we decided, right, we want this to work, and we call it supernatural living, as instead of doing this the way that the world would tell you to run your business, we're going to run it that trust in this power that we have within us. And even though, a little bit like a lot of people might have said that day when you heard life coach and went home and said, that's it, I'm done with this job, I'm going to do something else. Sometimes the things that pop up in our minds just look crazy, or and what has that got to do with the next thing that you're intending to do? What's the connection there with anything? Some of the things. But it is very much like, learning. I loved it when you said get a PhD in Angela Mayora. Yeah, we do. We need a PhD in leaning into and listening to that power that is truly us, that we are.
Yeah, but it's not, when I say that, I just want to be clear, like getting a PhD in Angela Mayora doesn't mean that there's a graduation, right? It's like, I'm not going to go to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous and they're gonna be like, you graduated, you're done. Like, it's a lifelong journey, but that's just how I'd like to describe it to people, to actually start paying attention to themselves.
Yeah, that there's something really beautiful in that. And when you were telling your story, when you were saying about that, your mum saying that you were done, and then you said, so I thought, right, okay, I'm going to be a law enforcement officer because I can earn all this money. That's pretty smart. It's like, that's not something a dumb person would do, That's smart. So the evidence, the evidence is always there for us, isn't it? Whatever it is, the evidence is always there. It's just how we see it, how we perceive it, what we take from that. But there definitely was a smartness in that.
Yes, thank you. It's for me, it's the curious piece, that piece that we have when we're kids, curious about everything.
Mm.
So it's when I got curious, I'm like, well, if I'm going to be and I got respiratory care practitioner, which was one of the greatest gifts of my sobriety, through prayer as well. When I did step 3 in Alcoholics Anonymous, with my sponsor, and we hit our knees, and step 3 is about turning our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him. And the surrender part, right?
Mm.
And that day changed everything for me, because I've always been able to hear God, spirit, universe. But that's when I really started, okay, like really paying attention to everything that was being said. And I heard respiratory care practitioner, respiratory therapist is what I heard. And I'm like, respiratory therapist? This was 30 days sober. And I'm like, respiratory therapist? I know a respiratory system is one of the 11 body systems, but I didn't know that was a career. No clue. And so I'm like, that doesn't make sense, sir. That's what I said. Talking to my higher power. And then I heard Rady Children's Hospital, San Diego. And I was like, well, now you're starting to make sense because I've always loved children. And so the next day I showed up at Concord College, and I said, walked in the office, there's about 15 people in there. And I said, I'm here to go to school with you guys. I'm going to be a respiratory therapist at Rady Children's Hospital. Everybody started laughing. They said, good job, good luck with that. It's the third best children's hospital in the world, and everybody, including their mother, wants to work there. So that's probably not going to happen, but you can come to school and be a respiratory therapist here. And I said, well, actually, I am going to be a respiratory therapist at Rady Children's Hospital because that's what God told me that I was going to be doing. So where do I sign? Like, let's go. And it came time to apply, and there was over 900 applications, 105 interviews, and 6 of us got hired.
I just adore your certainty. So what would you say to someone who is feeling uncertain, is feeling confused, and maybe wants something like you with that? What would you say is different about what goes on for you? And
it took me a lot of years to establish what it means to be aligned with my true self.
okay.
I have values, and if you ask most people, what are your values? They don't even know what to say. Like they haven't, sat down and really thought about it and figured out like who they are. People don't know who they are. They're just running around like robots, doing what the world's telling them to do, behaving in the way that the world is telling them to behave, not showing up as their authentic selves. And that's so easy to see too. Like, I will never tell somebody what they want to hear or act how I think they want me to act. Like, I am me, right? Like, some of my principles, my values, accountability, integrity, consistency, transparency, self-discipline, doing things regardless if I feel like doing them or not, showing up for myself every day, no matter what, authentically.
Yeah, I hear you in that. I really hear you in that. And it is, I can see when we have something that, like the document that Steve Hardison talks about, that that so many people, you can really see if we know this is what it is, that gives us the next step if we are unsure about what it is. Because and even in what you said, it's like if you go in there, yeah, I am going to be a respiratory person in this hospital, that gives you, what am I doing next? What am I doing next? And it, like you say, even in those days, I guess, when you're at school and you're doing this and it's like, oh yeah, it's really difficult. Oh, I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to finish this assignment. I am going to be, it's like somebody who is that finishes their assignments.
Yeah, and people would even ask me, I was in school for 2 years, and people the whole time out and about in the world, people would ask me, what do you do? And I said, I'm a respiratory therapist at Rady Children's Hospital. Like, I owned it, I claimed it, it was mine. Like, I knew that it was already done.
I love that. I love that. And I really hear your alignment with that, and the difference like I have been in, I can see for most of my life, for so much of my life, I was literally just all over the place. And those, you know, when you're saying people don't know who they are, and I was a complete people pleaser, you know, show up, okay, I don't know who I am. Who do you need me to be? Who, you know, and it's like, and coming out the other side of that, and then deciding, creating myself as who I want to be. How do I want to show up? Who do I want to be? And getting over, I saw a lot of fear in that time, which is one of the things that I really love about how you show up. I had a lot of time where I knew what my opinions were and what I thought and what I was thought, but I was scared to share that because I could see that other people had different ideas and different beliefs. And then I had this idea, oh gosh, if I say this, you know, if I talk about self-love, and potentially somebody would come in, you know, in a spiritual community, say, there's no self, we don't need to worry about self-love. And it's like, oh gosh, you know, what would I do? And then it's like, okay, this isn't about making someone else wrong and something right. This is about what is making sense to you and who you are, and sharing it authentically with love, and then letting anybody else do with that what they wish. So I had a long time of being fearful and hiding, you know, from that. And that definitely, that is one of the things that I just love about how you show up. And it's never, you know, I've never seen you in any of your posts or any of the things make someone else wrong. It's just like, no, cool, you go be you. This is me.
I absolutely love everyone's perspectives, and anybody's thoughts or opinions or comments are welcome on my page. And we all see life differently. We all see life through a different lens. I put out who I am and what I believe in, and if anybody else doesn't believe what I believe in, like that's great. Like that's their thing, right? Like I don't get offended. Like I love everyone regardless, and it's completely open, you know. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun being here on Earth. I love it. Life's a playground.
Yes.
And we get to create whatever it is that we wish. It's so fun.
I love that. Tell me more about that, how you see that we are here in a playground creating whatever you want, because that is definitely my jam. That is what I just love. Conscious creation is kind of like, it's such a playground. So tell me what you see in that, because I love that.
Yeah, Steve Hardison recently said that. So I tell myself a few things every morning, and he added to one of the things was consistent conscious creation. I love that. But that's what it is. We're never not creating, right? And the past 17 months, I've created 7 businesses. So it's not just my coaching and speaking. I'm up to a lot of things, and those are all things that I've created. And all of the things that I do are aligned with my passion. I think that's the huge missing piece, is that people are just doing things just to do them, that they're not passionate about what they're doing. And I found that once I became aligned with my passion, then boom. And people ask me all the time, like, how are you creating all of these things that you're creating? Like, what are you doing? And I'm not doing anything. And that drives people crazy. Like I literally, like, all I need to be concerned with every day is who I'm being in every moment, regardless of the circumstance. Who am I being? Am I reacting or am I responding? Pausing. I have a pause button. But I'm a manifesting machine. I've created the most incredible things. And like I said, we're never not creating. And we're creating with who we're being, not what we're doing, as you know.
So the being piece, I mean, I'm totally yes. You know, there is no part of me like, as this conversation, I'm just loving it. It's like, yeah, that is just so true. We are never ever not creating. The being peace, is that to you, when we look at who we are being, is that question, is that almost, could you ask, am I aligned? Those two things, I'm hearing those two same things in there. It's kind of like the being, and when you said you worked on knowing your values, knowing who you are rigorously, finding out what is my passion, who am I, how do I want to show up? And then so this being piece is what keeps you in alignment, if you like, with that. Would you say that's true? Would you say that's what's going on for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's everything I do is in alignment with my values and who I'm being. It's just, it's one, it's all connected, right? Like, this is how I make a decision. There's a decision to be made. It's a hell yes or a hell no. That's it. And if I'm having to think about it too much, it's a hell no.
Mm.
Like, everything is so easy for me. That's one of the things I tell myself every day. Today is the best day of my life. Everything is so easy for me, and consistent conscious creation. But everything is so easy for me because everything is aligned with, it's a yes if it's aligned with my values, if it's aligned with who I am. Love is, I am that. Is it aligned with love? If it's not, I don't want anything to do with it. Like, it's not even like, it's so easy. But yes, those two are extremely connected.
Mm. I love reading the Bible, because to me, like, I came to this journey through the principles. I came across the Sydney Banks and the three principles. So that was, I was around that for quite some time. And then I had a religious upbringing. I wouldn't say I was religious, because it's not the religious side of it, but I actually do really, to me, what I see in the Bible, when I actually just read the Bible without the dogma around it and all of that, I see it's this exact same message. And a lot, you know, when you're sort of saying, I'm totally aligned, I'm really clear, this is really easy, that is the message there. It's just like, yeah, do this and it'll be easy. Don't do this and it'll be difficult. Do this and it'll be easy. Don't do this and it'll be difficult. Do this and it'll be easy. And again and again and again, in different ways, it just feels like that's what the message there is. It is kind of like follow. And to me then, like, coming across the being movement and seeing that and hearing in different words and spoken in a very different, I like to hear the same thing spoken in many different ways, because it helps me make sense of it, if you like. And it's like, wow, it's just the same thing again. Yeah, work out who is it. And it feels like when you're talking about your values and who you want to be, to me, we get those from God, spirit, mind, whatever it is. It's like when we ask ourselves these questions, it's not an ego answer that comes straight away. It is, yeah, does this make sense to me? And it arises within us, a yes or a no, what it is. And then when we have those, it's not a mistake that, like, we are all here. To me, it feels like there's like one huge jigsaw puzzle, and we're all, you know, aspects of God, and we're all little pieces of this puzzle. And I don't know about you, but if ever you do a puzzle, if there is one piece missing, it doesn't matter which one it is, it's the one you want. So we're all equally important, because if anything was missing, it wouldn't. So you know, there's a reason why your values are what they are. There is a reason why you're calling, you know, there's a reason why you are called to do this and somebody else is called to do something different. So it's never about, we're not robots, and we're not here to be carbon copies of each other. But when we ask inside and align with who we are here to be, and we literally shine as that piece. And you know, I can hear in everything that you're saying that basically your message is, I've done that, do the work, do that, and this will be easy.
Right. And when the work is done, and when you're in alignment and you have your values and all of that, You're in a flow. You're no longer resisting, because that's when that piece gets lost, that puzzle piece. When you're resisting, when you're not in alignment with your true self.
Yeah. And you can hear that in, like, when you said your mom told you that you weren't smart and you didn't check that out for yourself. You just went along. So you're not in alignment with who you are, and you're resisting your smartness. You're resisting that what is, and you'll go, oh no, I'm this. And it's like, yeah, that was just given to you by someone else, and you never, and innocently, you know, it's not a criticism, but it's like, oh yeah, because I can see that too. It's like who I am called to be, how spirit comes through me, how God expresses whatever through me. It's like that didn't fit with quite a few people in my life, so I didn't follow it. I squashed all of that down, turned away, didn't look at who it is you know, what makes sense to me, what my passion was, what I wanted to be doing. And life was blooming hard.
Yeah, it's that you know, when I had said that I heard respiratory therapy, I could have shut that down real quick, because
Yeah.
I could have went to I'm dumb,
Yes.
right? And then
Yes.
I found out I had to get an associate's degree, and I started getting curious. Like, am I really dumb? Like, I'm gonna test this out. Right.
Mm,
So I think that's the piece. And you had to get curious too, to evolve the way you've evolved, and to look at those beliefs that we had, and to figure out and to see for ourselves that it wasn't who we really truly were.
mm. And so I guess, like, when you work with your clients, is that the kind of thing that you are doing, getting them to question who they think they are and seeing if that is in alignment with who they are? How do you work with clients? What do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I've done that's been life-changing for me is to address and work on and getting to the root of the judgments I had against myself. Constant judgment of myself. And when I'm judging myself, I realize that I was not letting anyone around me off the hook. So really taking a look at those things, and I run them through a step process to figuring that out, and to look at them. And the first step is, when I walk through them, the first step, and how I walk my clients through them, is to look at, what are you telling yourself? Those, when the judgments come up, like, what is it that you're saying to yourself? I like to read to you some of the things that I used to say to myself. Not that I like putting these out because they're negative, but just to,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
how I used to talk to myself. No one's going to give me that much money. I'm going to sabotage this marriage too. I'm not smart enough. And real quick, when I was asked to write down my negative thoughts, I thought about it and I asked, so just write down, I have imposter syndrome. And I was told no, to write down the thought exactly as it comes to your mind. Have a pen, paper, write it on your notes on your phone, get it out. And so I also wrote, I know I don't know what I'm doing. I don't belong here. I'm fat. It doesn't matter how much weight I lose. I'm getting old. I'm not good with money. I don't want to be in debt. I don't take enough action. Crying makes me weak. I'm not lovable. Like, all this nonsense. I got to stop. Like, that's not who I am today.
No.
But then the next thing is looking at all of those things through the eyes of a child. And then, what are the attributes of a child? They're very forgiving. They're very innocent. And there's more steps, but just getting through all those and then recreating my thoughts, and creating my declaration, my I am statement. The new things that I tell myself every day, reading those every morning, every evening, throughout the day, if I feel it's a good idea, which it is. I love it. Can't go wrong with it. I'd like to read a couple of the things from my new document, if that's okay.
I was gonna say to you, I would love to hear some of, as much. Absolutely, please do. I would love that.
Thank you. I am the most loving and committed motivational speaker and life coach on planet Earth. People do not hesitate to pay me thousands of dollars to help them expand their state of being. I'm a master creator for my being, and I can create anything that I want in my life effortlessly. I am now in the present being of service to whoever is in front of me. I am simplicity, making everything I do so simple, not concerned with the doing, but being solely focused on who I'm being. And in this way, I get everything done. My being will let me know what to do next. I am a mind architect, every day being aware of my thoughts and only attaching to the thoughts that empower me. It goes on, but that's such a difference. Like, how do you think my life was when I was telling myself all those negative things? Like, way different now.
Mm. Mm.
Incredible. But all of this stuff is work, right? It's looking at yourself in the mirror. And most people don't like to do that. They don't like to look at themselves in the mirror and look at their part in things and look at the way that they've been treating themselves. And it's that self-forgiveness piece that changes everything.
Yeah, yeah. This morning, I know you commented on the post. So this morning I put on Facebook, the problem isn't that we don't like other people, it's that we don't love ourselves. And I think this is the greatest gift of love that we can give ourselves, to actually look at and see, if you like, the things that we are doing that are not serving us. You might say the things we're doing wrong or whatever from our judgments, but those things, and acknowledge that we do that and forgive ourselves and do something different. But and I think that's the work, really, isn't it? It come once we make the decision that we're open to doing that. Like I've worked a lot with women who've been in abusive relationships and seen, you know, the partners of and either side, you know, just seen a lot of abuse from that side. And what I see with someone who is an abuser, and invariably, if you are being abused, you will also have moments of being an abuser, because we tend to jump from either side. And it's like, what I see is that so much of that, although it looks like we're abusing someone else, it absolutely comes back to we're doing that to ourselves. And really seeing the reason that cycle is difficult to break is because admitting something we have done wrong on either side, just saying, yeah, I did that, or I allowed that to happen, or, you know, that's really, really hard. But if we have the courage to do that, again, then it comes down to exactly what we were saying. What I have seen from that is, when I am prepared to say, yeah, do you know what, I didn't show up great there. I did that. That was me, and I did that, and not try to defend or blame or anything, and not even blaming myself, just, yeah, I did that. It's almost like that spirit, that power, this power that we have within us, really shows us where to go next. It's like, brilliant. Now there's space for us to do this. Now there's somewhere, we can do this work.
Yeah, in order for me to change, I'm so blessed to have the gift of desperation.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what it takes sometimes for people. It took that for me. Like, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like, I wanted to stop drinking. I wanted, if I was going to be hanging out here on earth, like I decided I wanted to be happy. And I knew it wasn't going to be an easy road. And 2.5 years into my sobriety, I was still miserable. So miserable. I would sit in those meetings, people would try to hug me. I'm like, get off me. Like, what? And then people would share in the meetings and they would say the saddest things, and everybody in the room would start bursting out in laughter. And I'm like, these people are insane. Like, why are they laughing at each other? Like, I didn't understand anything. I was angry. And I remember sitting there in a meeting like, man, I might as well go take a drink if this is what sobriety is. Like, I was so miserable. And then one day I started listening. I shut my mouth because I thought I knew everything, and I started listening.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I started listening. I mean, I was listening the whole 2.5 years, right? But what I mean is, I stopped listening with my intellect
Mm.
and I started listening with my heart. And I started to realize by looking at the steps and listening to what other people were telling me, people would tell me I would share and I would just be, swimming in Lake Me in victim mode. And people would tell me after the meeting, like, why don't you go do something for somebody else? Like, go be of service. And I'm like, what are you talking? Like, get away from me. Like, I was not a happy camper. And then I finally understood, like, it's not about me. This life is not about me. I am here to serve others and to love others. That's it. That's all I'm here for. That's all I care about all day, every day, is how I can be of service to others. And that has changed my life.
That's the perfect circle, isn't it? It's like in that post that I wrote, and I said, the problem isn't that it's not about that we don't like other people, it's that we don't love ourselves. Because if we truly loved ourselves, we serve. We can't help it. And when we serve, we love ourselves. That's the circle. Because I can see through all the abuse stuff that I have done, it's like, when I really, really don't like myself, what is the worst thing that I can do to myself? If I am really, really horrible to you and I hurt you and I see that hurt in you, so you then start to despise me because of the hurt that I've created, that is the thing that hurts me the most. And when we do that to people that we truly, our closest people we love, that's how we can hurt ourselves the most. So that's why we abuse someone else, because it's like, and it's that, because when I truly love myself, all I want to do is show up in service. It's like, how can I not? Somebody tells me something and, I see you on Facebook sharing all these things, and I want to show my people who you are. I want to show what you're doing. You can't help but serve people as you start to love and know yourself. You can't stop it. And yet when you don't love yourself, the best way to show disrespect and hate to yourself is by being really mean to someone else.
Yes. I love being of service. It brings me so much joy. And that's what I've come to realize too, right? It's all about how we're feeling. Our feelings create our reality. I mean, if people think about it, like when you're having one of those days, everything's showing up, everything's like you're seeing the license plates that are cool, the people, everyone's smiling at you, just things are coming at you. It's because of how you're feeling. You're attracting that. When you're having those days and somebody's cut you off and you get angry, then somebody else cuts you off, like, and that shows up. Like literally however we're feeling, we put out that energy. I have a list on my phone of things that bring me joy. And when I'm not feeling great, I'm not feeling comfortable in my own skin, I'm upset about something, or I just notice that my energy is lower than I'd like it to be, because I like to be vibrating high at all times. I go to that list and I pick something off that list that brings me joy, and I go do that thing. And only always does it bring me back to where I want to be, which is my truest self and joy and happiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have to have these tools. That's important, because we have all these years of this nonsense and they just running around in circles and circles and circles. Nothing changes until everything changes.
Yeah. I love that. It is truly about the feeling, isn't it? And when we don't love ourselves or know who we are, we can't find that joy. Like you say, it can't. So everything that we do just reflects pain and discomfort. And once we Yeah, once we find out what being in service, the joy that being in service brings, it becomes addictive. In a good way.
Yes, in a good way, for sure. Yeah, but and also too, I want to point this out that uh some people think that being a service, how that sounds like they make it so grandiose in their head, and it's not. It's not at all. We can be of service. Me going to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous and not even sharing, like that's being of service, like showing up.
Yeah.
Just showing up, opening the door for somebody at the grocery store. Like that's it doesn't have to be something big, but that's being of service, doing for something for somebody else. When I go to the grocery store too, I don't care how far I have to go, I take my cart back. That's being of service. Like it doesn't have to be some big thing. You have to go volunteer and like all this time, and like no, just like the little everyday things. And it's so huge being there for others and not swimming in Lake Me.
I love that. Swimming in Lake Me. Yeah, it is. It's yeah. What is being in service? It comes back again to me when you were talking about alignment and who am I being in all things, isn't it? It's that, like, if you are someone who is in service, if you see some litter in front of you when you're walking, you just pick it up and put it in the bin. You just, it's that, like you say, you take your shopping trolley back when you finish shopping. You do, it can be the biggest. It's in everything. That's what I see. It's the big and the small and everything in between, and it doesn't matter which one it is you're doing, because when you know that it's about the feeling, you can get as much joy from the great big things or the tiny little things. There's joy, the same amount of joy and the same amount of service. Again, it's the jigsaw puzzles, isn't it? It's all equal. We have it set up that there's better and bigger and more and there's less. And that again comes down to being you, showing up as you, because you're the way that you serve, whatever that is, the way that you serve is what the world needs from you. And it's never about, right, I need to be like Deborah, or I need to be like Angela. It's like, no, be you.
That's right. Nobody else is like you. Everyone's unique and everyone has gifts to offer the world. We don't have the same fingerprint. Like we're literally all different. And we have so much power inside of us. And that's a huge part of my coaching. Is it means everything to me. I have a desire to impact 1 trillion people through
Wow.
the ripple effect, right? And helping people realize how powerful they are and how powerful we are. And we can literally create whatever we want to create. And people ask me, what does that even, like, okay, like when people are getting curious, which is huge, like, what does that even mean? Like, how can I create whatever I want to create? I'm reading this book that Steve Hardison studies, and it explains it in this book. It's incredible. The way of mastery. And what it talks about is that communication is creation.
Mm.
How are we communicating right now? We're talking to one another. We're creating by our words. How else do we create? How do we talk to ourselves?
Mm.
Communicate with ourselves, our thoughts. How do we communicate with our subconscious mind, with our feelings? So all of those things helps us create our life. Communication is creation. Our words are so powerful. So powerful. That's why I didn't want to read that negative stuff. Like, just kidding, universe. Let me read my current document real quick.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be swimming in that, but yeah, it gives them a view. But yeah, we do. Our words are so powerful, and it's when we stop and see very often how we speak to ourselves inside our own mind, like when we begin to change that changes so much, doesn't it, when we do that, I guess. I could continue speaking to you all day. I'm loving, loving, loving what is going here, but I'm aware of your time and aware. And so if somebody wants to connect with you, what is the best way that if they've heard something in this, if they would like to reach out, connect, how can they connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Facebook, Angela Mayora. Also, my website is angelamayora.com. So Angela, Angela, Mayora, Mayora.com. And then, yeah, just DM me on Facebook. I'll give you my cell phone number and let's have a conversation.
Wow, what a beautiful offer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that has just been amazing. Have you got any last things that you would like to say before we wrap this up today?
I am complete. Just be you.
I really, really, really want to say thank you so, so much for being on this call with me and, you know, everything that you shared. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your service, for everything that you're doing. I look forward to getting to know you more. We should hop on a call for another call, just us.
We so should. We so should.